fellow booktubers, my name is Lauren, you're watching Dreams Books Courage, and as you can see I'm filming in front of a different location because I actually got a bookcase for my birthday. So if you want to see some more pictures of the full thing, then go to my link below to my Instagram and you will see some pictures there. Anyways, this is mostly my contemporaries on this shelf, and then on my other shelf I have my fantasy books, and I'm just so excited about this new bookcase. I just love it so much. Anyways, today we're talking about spring books because this Friday is the first official day of spring, and so I thought I should go ahead and give you guys some of my recommendations. As always, I will be talking about 5 books that I have read and 5 books that I have not yet read but heard great things about. So let's go ahead and get into these books. First up, we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and I don't think a lot of people think about this book whenever they think springtime, but I think it would be a great book to read in spring because really it is all about new beginnings, and I think of spring as a time for new beginnings. And if you really think about it, this was one of the first contemporary novels that was ever written. And for me, spring and summer are definitely great times to read contemporaries. Pride and Prejudice definitely does not disappoint. It's all about a girl named Elizabeth Bennet and a guy named Darcy. And at first they don't really like each other whatsoever. For Darcy has a lot of pride while Elizabeth has a lot of prejudice towards him. And it's all about overcoming their differences, and it's just done in a very beautiful way. Next, we have a complete 180 from Pride and Prejudice, and that is Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh. And this is kind of like a graphic novel. It does have a lot of pictures, but it also has quite a bit of text as well. So it would definitely be quite a quick read if you pick this one up. And within it, it just has these really awkward drawings like these. I've heard that this book is hilarious, and it seems to be a lot about just really awkward situations, and I think that definitely appeals to a lot of us. So I think that maybe if you guys are in a reading slump because of winter, then this will definitely get you back into reading for the springtime because it's just a quick and funny book. Next up, we actually have a fantasy read, and that is the Selection Trilogy by Kira Cass. This will be a great time to read these books for a few reasons. For one, they're super quick reads. The way that they are written, you can just get through these books really fast. I finished this trilogy in 5 days. 2, just look at these beautiful covers. I love the dresses on them, and they definitely remind me of spring whenever I look at them just because they're so bright and vivid. And the third reason is that The Heir, which is kind of a companion novel to the Selection Trilogy, is actually coming out in May. So it would be a perfect time to pick up this trilogy. I think the best way to describe this trilogy is to say that it's like The Bachelor if it was a dystopian novel. There are 35 girls that are competing to be with the prince, and the girl who's actually the main character of this trilogy does not actually want to be with the prince at all, but she is picked to be one of the 35 girls, so it's a very hard situation for her. There's a lot that goes into these novels. There are a lot more than just pretty dresses, but overall I really enjoyed reading this series, and I think that you guys would too. Next up, we have Confessions of a Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella, and this is a book that I have not yet read, but I've heard amazing things about the series from Zoe at Read by Zoe, and the movie that is based on this book is actually my favorite movie of all time, so I definitely think that this book would be a great read. I've heard that Sophie Kinsella is just an amazing contemporary writer, and she also has very funny characters in her books. This book is all about a girl named Becky, and she has a lot of financial troubles that she gets herself in because she spends all of her money and credit cards on expensive clothing. At the same time, she also wants to work for her favorite magazine, but she ends up at a very bland magazine called Successful Saving. And this novel is all about a romance mixed with Becky's financial troubles, and it's just overall hilarious from everything I've heard, and also the movie is just as funny. So I think that this would be a great springtime contemporary. Next up, we have an anthology that I'm actually currently reading, and that is 21 Proms by 21 different authors. Some of the authors in this anthology are John Green, Libba Bray, E. Lockhart, and David Lethin. So obviously there are some pretty good stories in this book, and I felt like this would be the perfect time for those of you, especially the ones in high school, to read this book since it is about prom season. And there's just such a wide range of stories in this that I'm sure that you guys can find some that you like. Also, I think that this cover is just so pretty with all the dresses and tuxes. But really, for me and a lot of you out there, I'm sure that this would be the perfect time for you to pick this one up. Next up, we have To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. Again, this is a book that I've heard nothing but good things about. It's all about this girl named Laura, and she writes letters to every guy she's ever been in love with. But the catch is that she never sends them out to them. But one day she discovers that her letters have been sent out. So then a lot of drama ensues with all of these past guys that she's been with. I don't really know much more than that, but this just seems like an awesome contemporary read. Like, even this cover just looks like springtime to me. And so I think that you guys should pick this book up, and I think that I will be picking this book up too this spring. Next up is a fantasy series, and that is the Bloodlines series by Rochelle Mead. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk a lot about this series in the past few months, but I feel like like right now would be a great time to read it. I would recommend that you read the Vampire Academy series before you pick this one up, but really I think this one can also be its own series. Either way, both of the series are great. This one's about a girl named Sydney and her trying to keep the human and vampire world apart, and she ends up kind of falling in love with the vampire. So obviously that makes things a whole lot more difficult. But I just love the main heroine in this book. She's just such a smart girl, and also she becomes brave throughout the novels. And this is just such a great series, especially since the final book just came out last month. I think you guys should definitely pick up these books because they're just very funny, and it's just a really awesome universe as well. Next up we have Geek Girl by Holly Small. And this is actually a recent release here in the United States, but it's been in the UK for a while, and I know that the series is very popular over there. I haven't really heard very much about this book just yet because it just came out, but I just really like the plot of it. It's about this girl, and she is very, very nerdy, but then one day someone approaches her about a modeling agency, and she ends up becoming a model as well as a nerd. And so I think she's just trying to combat those two sides of her, and that just sounds like a really funny and awesome book to read about a nerd turned model. Like, that never happens, and the fact that this book is all about that just sounds like a very interesting premise. So I think that this will be a great read, and I think that I will also be picking this one up. Next up is a book that I actually read in audiobook form, and that is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me and Other Concerns by Mindy Kaling. I think that this is just a great audiobook, especially since it's read by Mindy Kaling, but I'm sure that the book is funny as well. For those of you who do not know, Mindy Kaling was actually on The Office, and she was one of the writers of The Office, and now she has her own show called The Mindy Project. Overall, she's just a hilarious woman who is also very strong and smart, and I just love that about her. I think she's a great role model, and I just thought that this audiobook was super funny as Tina Fey's. And so if you guys just want to read something that's funny and doesn't take very much time to read, I would definitely suggest you guys pick this one up. I think it's perfect for spring because, again, new beginnings, and I feel like she's just a great role model if you need someone to look up to. And the last book that I have for these recommendations is 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. And of course I picked this book up because the cover of it is just so beautiful, but I think that the story inside of it would be equally beautiful as well. This is about a girl who can go between two alternate universes, and that is Tsarist Russia and a futuristic London, and those two worlds just sound completely different from each other, but equally interesting. And I've never read a book with different universes within it, so I think that this book would be a great start for me and also for you guys as well. And of course this would just be a beautiful addition to your bookshelf because just look at how beautiful this cover is. This is unlike anything that I've read before, so I think that it would be great to get into something completely unique in the months of spring. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we have reached 1,000 subscribers, and that is crazy to me and awesome and just all the emotions, so thank you all so much for watching my videos. BookTube is just such an awesome community, and I'm very thankful that you guys just let me be part of it. I remember when I just had like 8 subscribers, so the fact that I have 1,000 now is just so crazy. Tell me down below what your spring book recommendations are, and now I'm gonna go back to reading.